Speaking of rigged systems.
Indeed. Another private equity story for you guys.
Love
this is actually really stunning. So the New York Times got their hands on information that there have actually been several whistleblowers coming forward to the IRS saying, hey, private equity, these people are getting away with cheating on their taxes left and right. At least 3 different whistleblowers. So when the New York Times dug into this, what they found is even though those concerns had been brought, the actual tax rules are rarely enforced against private equity managers, the people who are getting the distributions from these private equity funds. The rules are extraordinarily Byzantine, and they are exploiting massive loopholes, both illegally and some probably dodging even the legal methods of lowering their taxes and straight up acting illegally, again, according to these whistleblowers. There's a few different pieces here that are really important to note. I think this is really interesting. So Trump administration gave private equity massive gift on their way out of office. A senior Treasury official, I'm reading from the New York Times now, a senior Treasury official whose previous job involved helping the wealthy avoid taxes, put into place new regulations. They represented a major victory for private equity firms. They ensured that executives in the $4.5 trillion industry, whose leaders often measure their yearly pay in 8 or 9 figures, could avoid paying hundreds of millions in taxes. And wait for this part. Those rules were approved on January 5th, the day before the riot at the U.S. Capitol, and so hardly anyone noticed. But by the way, this isn't just a Trump story. This is completely bipartisan. Let me find the numbers here of the number of lobbyists. Private equity industry has a fleet of almost 200 lobbyists and has doled out nearly $600 million in campaign contributions over the last decade. That's to Republicans and to Democrats, and that has repeatedly derailed past efforts to increase their tax burden at all. They have spent millions, hundreds of millions, to rig the system to their benefit, and even that is not enough. According to these whistleblowers, they then even have to go beyond those technically legal loopholes that they fought for by spending lots of money in campaign contributions and actually commit illegal acts as well, again, according to these whistleblowers.
Yeah,
disgusting all the way around, and then the IRS has no money to actually audit them.
That's the worst part. And speaking of Blackstone, this is Blackstone, to be clear, not BlackRock. Blackstone Group Chief Executive Steven Schwartzman, who, a big friend of the Chinese government, he earned $610 million last year, and he's going to pay federal taxes at a rate similar to the average middle-class American. So that's interesting. And the more that you read all of this, not only in terms of the campaign contributions and more, but you actually see that they know they're not going to get audited because of something what they've created called a partnership system. Quote, one reason they fairly rarely face audits is private equity firms have deployed vast webs of partnerships to collect their profits. So partnerships do not owe income taxes. So instead, they pass obligations on to their partners who can number in the thousands at a large private equity firms. That makes the structures complicated for auditors to untangle. Increasingly, this is the really bad part, the agency doesn't even bother. People earning less than $25,000 are 3 times more likely to be audited than partnerships whose income flows overwhelmingly to the richest 1% of Americans. I'm going to say it for what it is. This is rigged. This is a rigged system. If you're earning less than $25,000 in this country, you are poor. Like, you are on the brink. We're one blown tire away from bankruptcy. And maybe you forgot to check a box or two, or maybe you didn't report some cash tips or whatever from a job on your income. You know what? Uncle Sam should have nothing to do with you, especially whenever these types of people are creating partnerships and funneling hundreds of billions of dollars through this system, all 100% legally. And like you said, it's not even enough. They have to, on the way out, they have to write these little rules. And I love that this happened on January 5th because, okay, January 6th, it was terrible, right? It was obviously a story worth covering. It's June 14th, and the lead story in the political news today, Biden was asked about it the day that we're taping it. Biden was just asked about a January 6th commission on June 14th while he's abroad in talking about NATO. And show me one person, one real reporter who would actually bring this up, do a primetime segment about it, and say on January 5th, 2021, the Trump administration, aided and abetted by the private equity industry, gave hundreds of millions of dollars in tax benefits to the wealthiest people in this country who not only were already wealthy, but made 10 times more than you did during the pandemic while you suffered in your house. That is an absolute outrage. And look, credit to the Times for doing the story. But let's not kid ourselves. Nobody is talking about this in the way that it actually should be.
And let's go all the way back to what we were talking about at the beginning, the media and the things that they choose to cover.
This is a media story, right.
Right? So you could either have focused, again, no one here is saying January 6th was not horrible and did not deserve a lot of attention.
It was bad.
We gave it a lot of attention,
a ton.
and it has important ramifications for the country. I want to be clear about that. But the whole conversation about Trump has always just been about character. And if you had actually focused on things like this, massive loopholes, giveaways, written by the dude who came straight from advising the rich on how to avoid taxes, you would have gotten a lot further than you did ultimately. Now, instead, you're in a place where if Trump runs again in 2024, especially if he's running against Kamala Harris, welcome back, President Trump.
Good luck.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, you've left him in a position where people don't know that these are the type of actions that they were aggressively pursuing, giving the store away to the richest and most powerful among us. This one loophole, the carried interest loophole, you probably heard it named before. It's like the way that they're able to book revenue. Instead of taking it as income, they take it as carried interest. And then, so that one loophole cost the federal government $130 billion. Just that one thing. And we're not big, you got to pay for it and balance the budget people over here. This is about basic fairness. This is about basic belief that this system that we have set up in this country is going to work for you and isn't wildly, disgustingly unfair and rigged for the people who already have the most. And so that's what this is really all about, because the moment that you lose that, and in a lot of ways, that whole trust, any semblance of, this is a fair system, you work hard and you pay your taxes and you make it to the top, that's gone. Stories like this just underscore it. And if you don't fix it, you're in a bad, bad place. So all these people who look at what can we do? The trust in institutions is so incredibly low.
It's because of Fox News. It's Fox News.
Yeah, I mean, look, Fox News is not a great institution, but neither are any of these other media outlets, by the way. And if you want to say which is worse, okay, maybe I'd say Fox. But it's everything to distract from their own failings. The next thing that they would do after Fox News is it's your fault because you're just buying into all these conspiracy theories and you're not educated enough, or you're not listening to the right programming or whatever.
Look, is corporate media responsible? Yeah, but this is the thing too. Their bosses, many of the people who invest in these companies or own them, they're benefiting from the same thing. So how are they supposed to report on this? This is where I'm just sitting here thinking about somebody who's making less than $25,000 a year getting audited by the IRS, and then having these guys funneling millions of dollars so they can buy new boats in Monaco or whatever in order to not pay tax. It is blood boiling just even thinking about that. And yes, I'm not a huge have to pay for it every line item, since countries aren't houses, turns out. But it's about fairness, and it's about buying into the system. This whole thing, America, the experiment, look, nothing ties us together. It's not blood, that hasn't been the case for a long time. It's not, common cultural heritage. There's some of that, but not necessarily, especially in the cosmopolitan age. It's about belief in an idea and in being able to get ahead and more. That is slowly dissipating. And the more that people see this type of story, I've said this so many times, people know the system is rigged. They just can't explain to you exactly how. And that's what we try and do here the most on this show. And the more that you have these types of developments, and look, this will just continue to get worse and worse, because I guarantee you maybe the Biden people won't be as brazen, but there will be some similar giveaway to the rich inside of the Treasury Department, and it will just cascade and cascade. And like you said, then they'll like be geniuses and run Kamala, and then Trump will win again, and then it's over. Like this whole thing, it's just at that point, the amount of capital that they've accumulated, what are they going to do? Let's bring it back to earlier the show. They're going to buy your house.
Yeah,
or they're going to buy
BlackRock will own your neighborhood, and
by that time they're going to do that thing that New York City landlords do, and they're going to like screw with your property until you sell to them, and drive you out. And they're going to make it so that you can't buy a house in this country. Soon you won't even own a car. You'll lease it from BlackRock or Blackstone, and you're not going to own anything. The only thing that you'll own is your cell phone, so that they can track you all day and make sure that they go and they I'm starting to sound like Alex Jones, but listen, I guess we're in the same city. Some of it's bleeding in here right now.
Yes. Yeah. In happier news, we're excited to be on with Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're pumped.
Everything must be maybe fucked, but at least we're gonna get to talk to a big audience about exactly what's going on in the media. I know I'm sure we're gonna dig in a lot into all of that. And honestly, I mean, look, you guys have shaken people up in terms of what you've accomplished, the support. A lot of mainstream actors, I mean, they didn't even know we existed. They had no idea what we were doing. Yeah. And so when in 1 week they see us popping up at the top of these charts, et cetera, that was eye-opening moment. And so what does that actually mean? What does that portend? And that's not just about like Saagar and I and what we're doing here, but what does that say about the country? What does that say about the media landscape, where things are heading? There's kind of a great revolt underway as trust in these media institutions has completely collapsed, and people are disgusted by some of the like overt advertising, all this stuff that just makes the whole enterprise feel sleazy and untrustworthy. So we'll dig into those pieces. I hope we get a chance to talk about some of this housing stuff that I think is incredibly important.
We will.
Look, the country's at a really, the world, I would say, is at this great moment of uncertainty. We're in this kind of in-between space, right? At least here in America, the pandemic is receding into the rearview mirror, and now we're left evaluating the wreckage and all these weird financial metrics and potential bubbles and people starting to quit their jobs and consider a different way of living. What is this all going to amount to? Who's ultimately going to benefit for it? How will it reshape our country? Those are gigantic questions that I think we all have to have a lot of humility about right now as we're pondering, because there's just such tremendous uncertainty in a million different directions it could go in.
This is what politics should be about. Politics should be about, what does it mean? Matt Stoller put it well today. Politics is about what it's like to be a human in a society. And it sounds very bland, but politics to people in D.C. is, why don't you support a January 6th commission? Or why, what's going on in terms of you and Putin? Are you going to draw your red lines? And then meanwhile, people can't buy a house. BlackRock's eating it up. Private equity guys getting tax cuts. The Wuhan Institute of Virology ended up having bats. It turns out this whole thing is like a total lie and has been for a year. All of these things are happening, and I don't hear about it anywhere else. I'm so excited to talk to Joe. It's going to be a fun conversation, and it's important. I always see it, as our responsibility to try and elevate these types of deeper stories that have deep meaning and impact on people's lives, and explain to them why the system is rigged against them, why the media is lying to you. Sometimes it's intentional, but many times that the system is built in such a way that lies are the only thing that they're capable of producing, or mistruths, or pointing people in a different direction. All of these things happened over years, and understanding and getting to a new place can only happen through understanding. That's what Joe is the best at, and so I guess we'll have 3 hours to talk about it.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure we'll talk about chimps too. So
we'll get to that. Yeah, actually, Ryan Grimm had a great tweet about the Wuhan bats in the lab thing. He was like, they were running a wet market at the lab. Everybody was right. It turns out everybody was right.
At the Wuhan lab. Now imagine that one. That'd be something else.
That would be something else. So just to review the somewhat quite modified schedule. So after today's show, we're gonna go. We're gonna be on with Rogan. We'll post whenever that posts.
Probably
we're gonna
Wednesday.
have something like that.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a surprise for you guys on Thursday in lieu of the normal show. We'll be back on Friday in the studio with Saagar's beloved desk. For a normal show on Friday, and then everything will be back to the new normal schedule next week. So thanks for hanging in with us, guys. But I think you'll be excited about all these different
You guys are going to be really pumped. Apologies to everybody. We don't have a credit section or whatever in this show. Or, we have a very skeleton crew here down in Austin.
Yeah.
But Friday, the normal show will be back. All out Lifetime members who are inquiring, your name will be in the credit section then, we promise. I know we update it weekly just so everybody knows in terms of when people sign up.
And we're working on the plaques, guys.
Yes,
those
the plaques
are work
coming.
In progress
They're literally being engraved and cut somewhere a couple states away. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Whatever. They'll be here very soon. Shout out to all of you. If you guys want to become a premium member, you get to listen to the show completely uncut. You also can watch it uncut, not as clips, all of that, and really just support the work of trying to bring people together here more. The link is right there down in the description, or KrystalandSaagar.com if you're listening there. Oh, we own BreakingPoints.com now too, actually. So you can go there too. You can also check that one out. Anyway, we love you guys. We're so excited to be here in Austin and to talk to Joe Rogan. And we will see you all, I guess, tomorrow? Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. If you're watching on Rogan's channel, we'll see you on Thursday. If you're watching on our channel for our big surprise. And we'll see you back in the studio with the beautiful new desk on Friday.
That's right. No matter what day it is, you can't escape us, guys. Yeah. We'll have something going up somewhere. So enjoy, guys. We'll see you soon.